I remember the first time I saw Mark. It was at a campus coffee shop, a lifetime ago. He was hunched over a textbook, hair falling into his eyes, glasses perched on his nose. He looked so intense, so focused. I was just there for a quick study break, but something about him made me stop. He had this quiet energy, this unspoken drive. I nudged my friend and whispered, "Who is that?" She just laughed and said, "Some genius pre-med, I think." He was so much more than that. We started talking a few weeks later in a shared philosophy class. He was brilliant, in a way that wasn't arrogant, just genuinely curious. He talked about his dreams of changing the world, of making a real impact. I was a marketing major, practical and grounded, but his idealism was infectious. We clicked immediately. It wasn't a whirlwind romance, not in the dramatic movie sense. It was a slow burn, a deep understanding that grew with every late-night conversation, every shared meal in the dining hall. We talked about everything, our families, our fears, our wildest ambitions. His ambition was huge. Mine was simpler. I wanted to build a life with someone. I wanted stability and connection. I wanted a partner, and he felt like that partner. After graduation, things got real. He was applying to medical school. I was looking for my first job. We were broke but happy. We moved into a tiny apartment in a city, 2 states away from our hometowns. It was a shoebox, really, just enough room for a bed, a small kitchen, and a futon. We ate a lot of ramen, a lot of cheap pasta. I remember one night we split a $1 slice of pizza, and he said to me, "One day, babe, we're gonna have a house with a big kitchen. You'll cook whatever you want." I just smiled and squeezed his hand. I believed him. I believed in us. Medical school was brutal on him and on me. The hours were insane. He'd come home exhausted, brain fried. I worked full-time at a small marketing agency. Then I'd come home and cook dinner. I'd try to make it something he liked, something comforting. We'd eat in silence sometimes because he was too tired to talk. Other times he'd tell me about his day, the fascinating cases, the frustrating professors. I'd listen, absorbing every word, every detail. I learned so much about medicine just by listening to him. I was his sounding board, his therapist, his biggest cheerleader. When he had exams, I'd wake up early and make him coffee. I'd bring him snacks to the library. I'd proofread his papers, even though I didn't understand half the medical jargon. I just wanted to help lighten his load. I wanted him to succeed. His success was our success. That's how I saw it. We were a team. My career was okay. I moved up a bit, but I always prioritized his needs. If he had a late-night study session, I wouldn't plan anything. If he needed to decompress, I'd cancel my plans with friends. My friends would sometimes tease me, saying I was too devoted, but I didn't see it that way. I saw it as investing in our future. He was going to be a doctor. He was going to save lives. It was important. After med school came residency, even harder, less money, longer hours. We moved again, this time to a bustling city with a top-tier hospital. Our apartment was still small, but a step up from the shoebox. I took on more hours at my job. I started picking up freelance marketing gigs on the side to help make ends meet. Every penny I made went into our shared account. For rent, for groceries, for his student loan payments. I didn't buy new clothes or go on fancy trips. My focus was always on supporting him. He was brilliant in residency. Everyone said so. His supervisors loved him. His patients adored him. He had this natural empathy, this ability to connect with people, even in their most vulnerable moments. I was so proud of him, so incredibly proud. I'd go to his hospital events, his award ceremonies. I'd beam from the audience watching him accept accolades. He'd always find me in the crowd and give me a special smile, a quick nod. It was our secret language, our shared victory. Then he got his first attending position. It was a big deal, a prestigious hospital, a great salary. Finally, we could breathe. Finally, we could start building the life we'd always dreamed of. We bought a house, a beautiful Craftsman in a quiet suburban neighborhood. It had that big kitchen he'd promised. I spent weeks picking out paint colors, planning the layout. It felt like our sanctuary, our reward for all those years of struggle. He started working long hours again, but this time it was different. It was the grind of an attending physician, not a resident. He was establishing himself. He was building his department. He was becoming known in his field. He traveled for conferences, presenting his research. I encouraged him every step of the way. I'd help him prepare his presentations, I'd pack his bags, I'd manage the house and everything else while he was gone. He started traveling more often. First, it was once a month, then twice a month. Sometimes he'd be gone for a week or more at a time. He'd call me every night when he was away. We'd talk about our days. He'd tell me about the conference, the people he met. I never once doubted him. Why would I? We had built everything together. Our trust was absolute. Or so I thought. Then the call started to get shorter. Or sometimes he'd be too busy to call. Just a quick text, good night. Or, sorry babe, swamped. I started to feel a little lonely in our beautiful big house. The quiet felt louder. I tried to fill the time. I threw myself into my freelance work. I started a garden. I adopted a dog, a golden retriever named Luna. She was good company. She filled some of the silence. When he was home, he was often tired or preoccupied. He'd be on his laptop in his study even after dinner. I tried to engage him, ask him about his day, about the hospital politics, about his research. He'd give me short answers. Yeah, fine, busy, you know how it is. He started getting a lot of texts too. His phone was always buzzing. He'd keep it close to him, face down on the table. If I ever accidentally picked it up to move it, he'd snatch it away instantly. He said it was just work, colleagues, hospital stuff. And I believed him, because I wanted to, because I needed to. I started noticing small things. His clothes. He'd always been particular, but now he was almost meticulous. New shirts, new ties. He started working out more too. And he smelled different. Not bad, just different. A new cologne, a fresh scent I didn't recognize. I asked him about it once. He just shrugged. Yeah, I just grabbed a new one. Did you like it? I said it was nice. It was a lie. It was unsettling. Then there was the distance. He stopped holding my hand as much. He stopped initiating kisses. Our sex life slowly dwindled. He was always too tired, he said, or too stressed. I tried to be understanding. I tried to initiate sometimes, but he'd gently push me away. Not tonight, babe. Long day. My heart would ache. I'd lie awake next to him, feeling the vast empty space between us and our king-sized bed. I started feeling like a part of the furniture, like I was just there, present but not seen, not cherished. I tried talking to him. Hey, Mark, is everything okay? You seem distant. He'd look up from his phone or his laptop, a flicker of annoyance in his eyes. What are you talking about? Of course everything's okay. Just work stress, you know? And I'd drop it, because I didn't want to rock the boat, because I was scared of what I might find if I pushed too hard. My intuition was screaming at me, though, a small, insistent voice in the back of my mind. It was trying to tell me something was wrong. I tried to rationalize it away. He's busy, he's stressed. We've been together for so long, it's natural for the honeymoon phase to fade. This is just how long-term relationships evolve. But even as I told myself these things, they felt hollow. They didn't quiet the screaming. One day, I was doing laundry, his laundry. I pulled out a pair of his dress pants and felt something in the pocket. It was a small piece of paper folded neatly. I pulled it out. It was a receipt from a fancy restaurant, a restaurant I didn't recognize, and the date was 2 weeks ago. He had told me he was at a conference that week. I saw the total. It was significant. Not a solo dinner kind of bill. It was for two. My stomach dropped. I stood there in the laundry room, the receipt clutched in my hand. My mind raced. Conference dinners were usually expensed or group events. This was a private meal, a romantic place. I tried to tell myself it was a client, a colleague, but the pit in my stomach grew deeper. I put the receipt back in his pocket. I folded the pants. I put them in the clean laundry pile. I didn't say anything. I just watched him. I watched for any sign, any tell. He came home that evening, cheerful almost. He told me about a breakthrough in his research. He hugged me, kissed me on the forehead. I hugged him back, but inside I was a mess. The suspicion was a toxic poison seeping into my veins. A few days later, he was going on another trip, another conference. I packed his bag like I always did. As I folded his shirts, I noticed a hotel keycard in one of the pockets. It was for a hotel in the city he was supposedly at for the conference. But this keycard was different. It had a different logo, a different chain than the one he usually stayed at for that particular conference. I knew the conference hotel. I'd booked it for him many times. This wasn't it. My hands started to shake. I picked up my phone. I searched the hotel chain. It was a boutique hotel, known for its intimate setting. It's romantic atmosphere, not a conference hotel, not a business hotel. My heart hammered against my ribs. I knew. I just knew. I didn't say anything. I slipped the keycard back into his pocket. I kissed him goodbye at the door, a hollow peck on his cheek. He left, and I broke. I walked back into the house and collapsed onto the living room floor, Luna nudging me gently, her big brown eyes filled with concern. I just sobbed. Deep, wrenching sobs that tore through my chest, the kind of sobs that leave you gasping for air. I spent the next 3 days in a fog. I barely ate. I barely slept. I kept replaying every moment, every conversation, every tiny detail. The new cologne, the short calls, the guarded phone. It all made sense now. A sickening, horrifying sense. When he finally called me on the last night of his trip, his voice sounded distant, almost cheerful. He told me about a great presentation, about networking with some important people. I just listened, my voice flat. He didn't notice, or he pretended not to. He came home the next morning. I was in the kitchen, pretending to make coffee. My hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped the mug. He walked in, his suit jacket slung over his shoulder. He smelled of fresh air and that new cologne. He looked handsome, tired but happy. "Hey babe, good trip?" He leaned in to kiss me, but I turned my head slightly, so it landed on my cheek. He paused. "What's wrong?" I took a deep breath. My voice was surprisingly steady. "I found a receipt from a restaurant for 2 people. 2 weeks ago, the date you were at that conference." He froze. His face went blank. He looked at me, his eyes narrowing. "What are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb, Mark. I saw it. And I found a hotel key card this morning. Not from the conference hotel, from the boutique hotel downtown." His face turned ashen. The color drained from it. He looked like a deer caught in headlights. He opened his mouth, then closed it. No words came out. "Who is she, Mark?" My voice was a whisper now, barely audible. He finally spoke, his voice rough. "Sarah, I can explain." "Don't. Just tell me who she is." He sighed, a long, weary sigh. He ran a hand through his hair. "It's a colleague from the hospital. Dr. Miller, Allison Miller. Dr. Miller. I knew her name. I'd seen her at hospital events. Young, sharp, blonde, always impeccably dressed, always laughing a little too loudly when Mark spoke. I dismissed it as professional admiration, or maybe just her personality. Now it felt like a punch to the gut. How long, Mark? How long has this been going on?" He wouldn't meet my eyes. He looked at the floor. He looked at the window. He looked everywhere but at me. "A few months, maybe 6. 6 months. 6 months of lies. 6 months of sneaking around. 6 months of me cooking his dinners, doing his laundry, waiting for him. 6 months of me feeling crazy, of me doubting myself. 6 months. It felt like my entire world was imploding. I started to shake again. My whole body was trembling. He tried to reach for me, but I recoiled. "Don't touch me." He put his hands up in a placating gesture. "Sarah, please. Let's talk about this." "Talk about what, Mark? What is there to talk about? You lied to me. You cheated on me. You betrayed everything we built together. Everything." He started to cry then, big silent tears rolling down his cheeks. "I know. I'm so sorry. I messed up. I really messed up." His tears didn't move me. They felt like a performance, a manipulation. They felt hollow. I looked around our beautiful kitchen, the kitchen I had planned, the house we had built together. All of it felt tainted. All of it felt like a lie. "Get out," I heard myself say. My voice was calm, cold. "Get out, Mark. Where am I supposed to go?" He sounded desperate. "I don't care. Go to her. Go to Dr. Miller. She clearly means more to me than I do." He stood there for a moment, looking lost, defeated. Then he turned. He picked up his suit jacket, and he walked out the door. The sound of it clicking shut echoed through the house. It felt final, utterly final. The days that followed were a blur of pain and disbelief. I called my best friend Jessica. She was furious for me. She came over right away. She sat with me on the couch, holding my hand while I cried until there were no more tears left. She brought me food I couldn't eat. She listened to me repeat the story over and over again, trying to make sense of it. How could he? How could the man I loved, the man I sacrificed everything for, do this? How could he just throw away 15 years of our lives together? 15 years of shared dreams, of mutual support, just gone. For someone he'd known for 6 months. Jessica helped me call a lawyer. The conversation was clinical, detached. It felt so surreal to be discussing divorce, assets, liabilities. It was just numbers to them. To me, it was the dismantling of my entire life. I found out more details through the lawyer. Mark had apparently been quite serious with Allison, serious enough to consider leaving me for her. That's what his lawyer claimed anyway. It wasn't just a fling. It was a relationship. A relationship he'd been building while I was home tending to our life. The financial aspect was complicated. We had built his career together, but his name was on the big salary. My contributions were largely unseen. Emotional labor, house management, freelance work to supplement income early on. It was hard to quantify. My lawyer was good, though. She fought for me. She argued that my support was instrumental to his success, that his current earnings were a direct result of our joint efforts. I had to start working full-time again, at a small startup. It was good to have a distraction, but it was hard. I'd come home to an empty house. Mark had moved out completely, taking a few boxes of his things. The house felt even larger now. The silence was deafening. Luna was my only comfort. She'd curl up next to me on the couch when I watched TV, just staring blankly at the screen. She seemed to know I was hurting. I started seeing Mark at the house when he came to pick up more of his things. Our interactions were strained, polite, cold. He always looked guilty. He always tried to apologize again. "Sarah, I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I regret it," he'd say. But his words felt empty. If he regretted it, he wouldn't have done it, or he would have ended it before it got serious. He chose her. He chose to build something new with her. One day, he dropped a bombshell. Allison was pregnant. My lawyer told me. She had found out through Mark's lawyer. Mark and Allison were having a baby. Pregnant. The word hit me like a physical blow. I had always wanted kids. We had talked about it. For years, we had talked about it. After he established his career, after we bought the house, after we were stable. That was always the plan. But it never happened for us. Now he was having a baby with her, the woman he cheated on me with. It felt like another layer of betrayal, like he was replacing me entirely. Not just my place in his bed, but my place in his future, my place in his legacy. I screamed. I actually screamed, a raw, guttural sound that tore from my throat. Jessica rushed over again. She held me while I cried, shaking uncontrollably. How could he do this to me? How could he move on so fast? How could he give her what he never gave me? The divorce was finalized 6 months after that. I got the house and a significant portion of his assets, enough to be comfortable, enough to rebuild. But money didn't fix the gaping hole in my chest. It didn't fix the broken trust. It didn't fix the years I had lost. I tried to put my life back together. I started going to therapy. It helped. Slowly. I talked about the anger, the sadness, the feeling of worthlessness. The therapist told me it wasn't about me. It was about him, his choices, his flaws. But it was hard to believe. It felt so personal. I started dating again after about a year. It was terrifying. Every man felt like a potential betrayer. Every kind gesture felt suspicious. I was guarded, defensive. It was hard to let anyone in. I went on a few coffee dates, a few casual dinners. Nothing stuck. I wasn't ready. My heart was still in pieces. I threw myself into work. I started my own marketing consulting firm. It was empowering. It was something I built for myself, by myself. It was mine. My clients were happy. My business grew. I felt a sense of accomplishment I hadn't felt in years. Years spent building someone else's dream. I saw Mark once, a year and a half after the divorce. I was at a grocery store, picking up supplies for a client presentation. I saw him in the produce aisle. He was with Allison. She was visibly pregnant, big and glowing. She looked happy. He had his arm around her. They were laughing. He saw me. His smile faltered. His eyes widened. Allison turned. She saw me too. Her expression changed, from joy to something guarded, almost apologetic. I just stood there, frozen. My heart hammered, but this time it wasn't from pain. It was from shock and a strange, detached curiosity. They looked like a picture-perfect couple, the life he had built with her, the life he had denied me. I just nodded once, a small, curt nod. Then I turned my cart and walked away. I didn't want to talk to them. I didn't want to see their happiness. I didn't want to confirm to myself what I already knew, that he had moved on completely, that I was truly replaced. I got in my car and just drove. I drove for hours, out of the city, into the countryside. I just needed to be alone. I pulled over at a scenic overlook. The sun was setting, painting the sky in fiery oranges and purples. It was beautiful, and I sat there and cried. But this time it felt different. It wasn't the same raw, agonizing sobs. It was a quieter cry, a cry of acceptance, a cry for the end of a chapter. I had loved him so deeply. I had believed in him so completely. I had given him everything, my youth, my energy, my dreams, and he had taken it all and given it to someone else. It was a hard truth, a devastating truth. But sitting there, watching the sunset, I felt a faint flicker of something else. Not hope exactly, not yet, but resilience. I was still here. I had survived. I had rebuilt my career. I had my own home, my own business, my own dog. I was not defined by his betrayal. I was not broken beyond repair. It's been 3 years since the divorce. I'm dating a wonderful man now. His name is Daniel. He's kind, he's supportive, he makes me laugh. He doesn't compare to Mark. He doesn't have to. He's his own person, and he sees me. He truly sees me for who I am, not just as a supportive wife, but as a whole person with my own dreams and ambitions, and he encourages them. He wants me to succeed. He doesn't make me feel like I have to choose between his dreams and mine. The pain of Mark's betrayal still surfaces sometimes, like a phantom limb ache, a ghost of a wound, but it doesn't consume me anymore. It's a part of my story, a chapter I had to live through, a lesson I learned the hard way. I helped him build his career. I poured everything into it. I gave him my absolute devotion, and he replaced me. That's the simple truth. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but it's not the end of my story. It was just the end of his, and the beginning of mine. My real story, the one where I finally learned to build for myself, for my own happiness. And for that, I guess I can almost be grateful. Almost.